And hello, everyone. I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm here on the front lines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Lumadonkey. We're here on the front lines. Well, I just thought I would mention, let me show you. I'm going to give credit for the opening to the actual, the credit to the one that actually puts it up. So let me just show this to you. So it's Ian Post, Do Da. No copyright music, and Choco Taco Atro. So that's our intro, just so you know. And I liked it a long time ago, and I am subscribed. So I just thought I would point that out. It's been a while since I've done that, so I thought I would, go ahead and let people know. Well, let me just go right over to here. We'll just get right into it before we, get into anything else. There's two little pieces of information we're going to get right out of here, right out of X22 report from today, and then we'll go into discussion about these things. So they're all, half a minute and a minute each. So let's just listen.
Q letting us know about state funerals. Is Q telling us that there's going to be a state funeral coming up? Is the deep state going to be using this to distract the people from what is coming? Well, Disclosure Backpack found something very interesting. And this is Wikipedia, and this is funeral arrangements. And it says the Military District of Washington has primarily responsibility in overseeing state funerals in all cases. Must strictly follow the outline of a 138-page planning document. Detailed funeral arrangements have emerged for Jimmy Carter. A 411-page document outlining the state funeral for Carter has been filed with the Military District of Washington.
Okay. So let's stop there for a moment. I want to also point out, and this came out on In Pursuit of Truth, IPOT. Sir Patrick Mack, he actually was bringing up this maybe I think 2 days ago, is that there was a reference from the Planters Peanut Company, right? So they actually put out a bit of information that said, that Mr. Peanut has passed away. Now, there was apparently some sort of, an ad during, the Super Bowl where they had Mr. Peanut actually sacrificed himself to save his friends or whatever. But anyway, but now there's this Mr. Peanut has now passed away. And during the Jimmy Carter days, which I actually do remember back in my very young life, when he was president and he was a peanut farmer. And it was a very big, story, right, about that. And he was known as Mr. Peanut. So in the deep state, they signal, hey, it's time to cue the next actor for a state funeral. We know what happened the last time with George H.W. Bush, and he was cued on time to go in and distract from D5, the 5th of December. Right? But that was just a setup. It wasn't going to happen at that time. But this is the battle that we've been seeing, that between QAnon and other things. So very interesting. Let's go back to this, and we'll carry on.
So the question is, does this mean this state funeral is going to be for Carter? Well, it could be, or it could be someone else. We'll have to wait and see, but it is all pointing to Jimmy Carter right now. Now, Fave is 17 tweeted out the following. Democrats are in quite the precarious position. If they go ahead with the state funeral plan, then it proves Q is real. If they don't, then Republicans start the defense of @real Donald Trump with the nation watching. And there was an anon on the boards who wrote something that kind of tied all this together and what has been going on and everything that we've been watching. This is what...
Well, so this next part is also very interesting. But that's an interesting point, though, is, Q has pointed this out, right? And so they're kind of like caught either way. They're going to confirm more on QAnon, well, let's continue. And this ties a lot together. This is more of the big picture stuff that we often talk about on here, the Rothschilds, right? And how the big situation in the background is changing. It's all laid out right here.
This individual wrote, the KGB fell in 91. It took Russia another 29 years till they could throw off the oligarchs and reconstitute their government. In America, POTUS is going to take out everybody at one time and provided China and Russia the ammunition to throw the Dragon family and oligarchs, respectively, out of their governments at the same time. Iran and North Korea and their nuclear capabilities got taken out.
Iran and North Korea capabilities have been taken out, thus allowing Putin to remove his oligarchs, just get rid of his government. Interesting, huh?
That was the key that freed Russia to purge its government and oligarchs. China has, by virtue of entering into a trade agreement with America, beat the Dragon family back. My prediction, this coronavirus is a big nothing burger, or Q would have won some digging there. We finally get our arrest, but the fun isn't over yet. Next on the horizon is central banks. POTUS, Putin, and Xi are already strangling their respective central banks. For us, the Fed Reserve, through trade, and the central bank's Fed are getting desperate. As soon as the Soros side of the triangle is collapsed by arresting the big five of the Dem Party, the focus will quickly move to the central banks, ergo, the Rothschilds. So strap in, Starship Troopers. We're just getting started. I personally want to get to the Fed Reserve and the Rothschild. That's where I have an axe to grind on their predatory behavior. Thanks, Q. Thanks, Q+. What a ride. And you can see that...
Yep. What a ride it is. That's definitely for sure. So, we know that there's been a lot of changeover happening, right? And access of money moving around the country. I've had reports of large sums going from Japan to Russia. From Japan to Russia. Now, Japan is one of the first to line up and come on board with Trump, with the new emperor, to throw off, in this case, it would be the Rockefellers that had hold over Japan. And now to have these sums going from Japan to Russia, to bolster Russia's ability to do what? To wage war against the West? Does that make any sense? No. But in creating a new power base around the world, right? If you have China coming on board, right, with a new trade deal, you have Russia coming on board, you have the UK and America. What is the United Nations then? Is it something also that needs to be restructured? Just saying. If the idea is really, to make the smoothest transition if you were to really, I don't like the United Nations. I don't like them. But if there needs to be a new United Nations or United Planet, how about that? Where these things are not owned by, let's say, dragon families. I guess Kim said that she owns 6 seats. Right? I don't know how many seats that there are altogether, but this is a transition point. We can see everything is realigning itself, and it's being done while the show is being played, while this impeachment show is going on. He also, one of the last things that he was just touching on there was this new virus, right, that hit, right, 2 people now infected, right, and it's going to turn into nothing but, I hope so, but I would like to point out that this virus is patented, and the cure is patented by the Bill Gates Foundation. So, now, of course, there's some in-betweens between that, but ultimately, we're looking at where it's, again, they need an event. They need something to break loose. They need to get things off this current track because they don't like where it's going. Nobody's watching this impeachment. It's losing. Who could? I mean, barely. I don't even want to look at the snippets from the from, say, Laura Ingraham or anyone. I mean, obviously I am, but I don't want to hear them. I mean, it seems vile to hear Adam Schiff. It really does. It's like a loud screeching sound that makes you nauseous. I guess it's one of those nausea guns. Adam Schiff's interpretation of a nausea gun. So, I also I want to point out something else that very complicated this story is, right? Spygate, Muellergate, Ukrainegate. We add "gate" on it, right? Because we kind of mean, conspiracy, drama. That this is something that's a cover-up of some sorts. And so it's a bit complicated, but what's now coming about and really is showing up, it's that it's all the same individuals within the government. All of them are interrelated. All of them were working together. If one didn't work, they got together and figured out how to continue on doing the next plan and the next plan. And just yesterday, Laura Ingraham came out with an emails, right, that really basically tied in this early Burisma that Joe Biden knew about this, and that the Obama administration knew about this. And Laura Ingraham had, done a whole show about it yesterday. Big breaking news. Oh, she was smiling like a smile is like a, almost once in a lifetime smile, you could say, right? She was so happy bringing out these details, this breaking story. So that's about a very important change. The other important change, also so much going on all at the same time, the FISA warrants that were given against Carter Page. 2 of them have been ruled to be not valid. Now, 2 of 4 or 5, I'm not sure, but that means whenever the first one took place, there shouldn't have been any that came after that. If they want to claim the first 2 were valid, all right, but any ones that came after that, definitely not valid. But we can now be certain that the first ones were not valid, right? But let's just go with the ones that are currently said to be not valid. What does that mean? It means anything that came about from that being used as evidence in any future investigation, they have to make a trail. They have to follow it. And they have to say, hey, it touched on here, it touched on here, it touched on here. And if there's any legal cases that were put out there based upon these, as without these, you couldn't have these other charges. They're going to trace that back. What's going to disappear? Anything against Flynn? Was it a basis? One of the bases? How about Papadopoulos? Well, he was put in jail for 2 weeks. All right. So, what else? What else was there based upon that? Oh, the Mueller report. Invalid. That means everything with the whole Russiagate was invalid. None of that they could do without this Carter page being looked at. And as soon as they discovered that even if the first one was valid, which it wasn't, and as soon as they found out, I don't know if it was the second one they ruled invalid or what, but I would imagine say the last two. Don't know. Because they're going to cover their bets. The court is going to cover their bets, right? So, oh, well, the first two are, they're okay. They're not. They weren't. But it's gonna come about to be known that they have been the ones that started all of this mess. So all of this other storytelling that was done, we now know was just stories, all aimed at a soft coup, a soft coup against President Trump. So. This is now going to come about, right? And it's going to go right to the Obama administration, right? It's going to be pointed out that this is not valid, and that he was responsible for spying, and that's what it comes down to. And that means that it's going to turn up everything in the Obama White House is going to now be reflected upon this. It's going to go back to the hammer. About how the hammer was basically brought about and as an off-the-books surveillance system of everyone, not just Donald Trump, everyone, every telephone call, every text message, every email, everything. Everything that you do in private, everything was basically captured by this system and made available for what I believe was a blackmail program. How to get the blackmail material on, say, Roberts, for example, to get him to go along with Obamacare. How about anybody that they wanted to basically bring under their thumb and control? Maybe there's not much out there on someone, but they can lean on the people around them. How about that? Maybe you're safe because, hey, you don't do anything that's that off the wall that anyone could have blackmail material. What about the people around you? Maybe they find something and they bring that to you. We're going to ruin your family member. They'll use it to get leverage. This type of system needs to be dismantled worldwide. It really does. This kind of information should not be in existence for people because you cannot trust the government with this kind of power to know everything that you've ever done. It's not even about, who's in power at the moment. It's who may come into power later. And it was getting worse and worse, wasn't it? So we can tell that there is quite a difference when we will start looking at who's actually behind things. Right? It was a system that was designed to bring us into more misery to make us feel guilty about one another, about humanity. It's to basically say we're bad. You know, no matter where I've been in the world, I don't find many bad people. On occasion, even people, that may be, mostly, not really bad, but some people end up doing bad things, right? Lapse of judgment, put it that way. And then they atone it in their own selves. They correct, they self-correct. Sometimes they don't. There are those gems out there, right? I might say coal. But in the reality is that people are basically good. Now, we know that there is a population amongst us that has been breeding itself into not loving and caring for one another. These are the elite, right? And they make you struggle to join them, right? Making themselves separate and elite. They're far from elite. They are far, far, far from being elite. They're actually mundane. So this is a big change that's happening right now in the world, and we're watching it. We're right here on the front lines, watching what's going on, finding the stories, putting them together, trying to make sense of it all, to make it simple. So on the Dan Bongino show today, the last one, I highly suggest that you watch it, because it really just ties it all together as to who did what. With the new information that came in with the FISA warrants, it's being disqualified, with the people that that put this all together, the whistleblower, Mr. Carmel. So this guy was actually escorted people from the Ukraine into the Obama White House for a meeting. What was discussed there? And who was part of it? Who was part of the entourage? Well, one of the major people in Burisma. And where did this whistleblower end up going? He's not a whistleblower. This is just a fake story. So he was part of this initial Russiagate, and he was also instrumental in creating this Ukraine gate. Why? Because he is also responsible for a soft coup. He's part of the team. Been invited to parties with state affairs with Biden. Went on to work, and other people in the team went to go all work with Adam Schiff. Oh, very cozy group, right? So it's all tied together. Dan Bongino does a great show about how to explain it all. Please go check him out today. That in itself makes everything very clear. You can see why it's been a conspiracy. You can see, it's been a coup. It's been an attempt to basically remove Donald Trump for their own reasons. Even Adam Schiff, in the clips that I did end up watching, the small clips, as Laura Ingraham likes to point out, and she does a great job. Adam Schiff is saying things how Trump did the unthinkable thing of actually going against what the State Department wanted to do. The State Department is right. They provided him information. Why didn't he follow what they wanted him to do? Well, because We put Trump there not to follow what they want to do, to stop going down this stupid road of war around the world. But Adam Schiff's doing this impeachment because he's not going to follow along with them. He's not going to trust the intelligence agencies, which Adam Schiff is sitting on the chair of the Intelligence Committee. And they don't like that. So they're going to get rid of him. This is a coup attempt. This is treason. And that's what's being exposed in this impeachment trial. Let's just say that we're at the end. I think they're completely done now. Adam Schiff they're done with their 3 days of basically not mind-numbing repeated siren. Makes you want to vomit. So next, tomorrow we're going to hear from the first time in all of this, last few months, was it 4 months now, where Trump actually gets to have his say, where his attorneys get up and they can start laying out everything. Now, since Sunday is a slow day, they're just going to kind of give what's coming up. It's kind of a preview of a movie. Is what they're going to do tomorrow, and I think that they're going to keep it relatively short day tomorrow, and then the next couple days after that, they're going to now give their. Now, I imagine that there's going to get more people watching what's going on. Right? I think that we're going to see a big uptick in the number of viewers. I know I want to see it. Now, are we going to actually go after this into where they start saying we need to have more information, witnesses? Now, I've tended to believe that this has been part of the plan, is to try the deep state through this process. I think, like, John Bolton, for example, is like the candy that they're waving out in front of them. Say, oh, you want John Bolton? Oh, well, we got to call Hunter Biden. No, I don't think there's actually any restrictions from the Senate side that says that they have to, do anything other than what the House did. They can deny them. Oh no, you had your chance to call your witnesses. Trump never had his chance. We're giving him his chance now. Seems fair to me. Seems fair, I think, to most Americans that will be watching it, right? That they would think, yeah, well, they didn't allow him to call any in the House. Okay, now it's Trump's turn. I think that's completely fair. Let him call his witnesses. Now, let's say they say, okay, we'll open it up for witnesses, and then Trump, has his close team, right? His Security Council team members, right? That surrounding him, that he's working with, like John Bolton. They want to call him Mike Pompeo, and whoever else they want to bring out, right? But there's executive privilege. And that could take months for them to basically go to the courts and override them exerting their executive privilege. Say, no, we don't have to give this to you. Yeah, you can force this in the courts, but we're just not going to give it to you. I have a sneaking suspicion that Trump would actually go ahead and waive the executive privilege on these, and maybe with some stipulations. It's only about this topic or something like that. You can't go off into Netherlands for all of these different, conspiracies that that Adam Schiff is going to want to pull out of everywhere. But if he waived that and this brought them forward, I doubt that there's anything there. Right? But it is the candy that they were waving out in front of them. And then if they start calling the witnesses, who do they call? Well, of course, the Boltons. The Bidens is what I meant. The Bidens get called, and so does the whistleblower and the informant. the one that was working with the whistleblower, fake whistleblower. Who else? Well, you know that there was an extra witness on the Democrat side in the House that they actually classified his testimony. And the reason is because it's exculpatory. It proves that this whole case is bogus. So he could be called. After all, it was a witness. So the transcript was classified. Who could unclassify it? Well, A.G. Barr could. I'm sure that the Dems would have a very hard time with accepting that, but I think that we may see something like that happen. Trump goes ahead and allows Bolton and the rest to go ahead and testify, but they bring out all of these others. And then, well, what else is coming about? Oh, well, you know what else is being talked about right now? It's coincidental that this is all coming out in the last 2 days, right? Where the Democrats are giving their case. Is that John Kerry's son is also on the board of Burisma. Wonder who else is on the board. Wonder who else. So what might actually start happening is a flood of these witnesses coming about that kind of unfolds everything in the Senate trial. And then the Dems turn around and say, oh, that's enough witnesses, no more. No, we don't need any more. No, it's okay. You don't need to call anymore. They're calling more. Their defense. So, anyway, let's see how this unfolds. Oh, let's see. Oh, we've been on here for about half an hour. There is Tank has not shown up yet. I do not know if he's coming on. I have, of course, Hey Lisa, you can jump on if you want, and if you have an update, or Michelle, you're also welcome anytime. Let's see, any questions in the chat room here? Well, someone's making a comment about Christiana's making a comment about impeachment and Rico Rudy breaking up the racketeering RICO Act. Yeah, Rudy Giuliani, as of I believe today, has now opened up on his own website the information. He's doing his own YouTube broadcast as well, and he's going to bring out all the evidence in front of everybody right now. Right now. So I have not gone and checked that out yet, but it is a. I just learned about it about an hour before starting this broadcast. So I would say that is something to look into to see what is going to be coming out, because I don't think the timing of this is an accident. This is, I think, part of the orchestrated trial from the Patriot side. To start bringing us, that's like Laura Ingraham bringing out this information. That's like the FISA court ruling against their own two FISAs that it was not valid. So timing-wise, this is all like as the Democrats end their conspiracy theory, which is what it is. All right, their projections of everything that they're doing. Everything that they're doing, including Russian collusion, right? Because Russian collusion goes back to Obama, right? Remember, he spoke with Medved, and he basically said, well, I'll have more flexibility after my election. Flexibility to do what? Well, it's about missiles, right? So That's Russian collusion, right? Isn't that Russian collusion? He's basically telegraphing to them ahead of time, say, "Yeah, I'm going to be working with you more closely on that." And what else was there? Well, oh wow, uranium one. Selling the Russians of 25% of all of our uranium. Now we have to buy it back. Isn't that interesting? Well, what did they get for that, right? So very interesting. So all of this coming back around is because everything that they project out. As soon as they do something bad, they put it on the other side. You know, they just can't help themselves. They have only one go-to move. That's it. And they repeat it again and again. And so I think we're seeing now all of this now come out. It's right now. This is the this next week is going to be just as fascinating as last week. It's just so much of it. Well, okay. Well, I think we can keep this one short. You know, about 45 minutes. We're good to go. We can drop down. If there's any more questions, we'll go ahead and go through that. I wish I had more update about what's going on with Kim, but it's okay. It's the weekend, right? So the weekend's just starting. I still think that it's gonna take some interesting timing, or events to go through in time before we actually see this flow opening up. Oh, let me mention this. Trump went to Davos, and he's speaking to them as the world leaders, and he's telling them all of his accomplishments. But one of the other things he said was that the direction that everyone is to go is actually towards, what I call abundance thinking, the positive, right? It's no more about fear side. And that they're going to be bringing about all of these new things. People are going to be very surprised. And what happens at the same time? Oh, by the way, not Trump didn't say this, but it's happening at the same time. Oh, we accidentally cured cancer. Now, was it really an accident, or was it something that was already done and they're bringing it out now? Think how much this saves the medical industry. If you stop looking at people as a revenue source, for the medical industry, right? That this is it's all about how much money you can make off of these treatments that go on for the rest of their life. You're keeping people in misery so that you can make profits. You can cure cancer. You can cure cancer. Here, take this pill. Come back for a checkup in 2 months. It's done. Now, I think there's many more of these type of technologies that are being brought out. This is what Q has been telling us about. We have a lot of focus on these different sides, right? We see the big battles being played out. We pass on. We see this realignment. You see the Queen. Just another little side note. The Queen is not well. Queen of England. She did not make it to a state function that she hasn't missed in 48 years. So she also, removed Harry and Meghan, right? And said, okay, you're not in the royal family anymore. So there's changeover happening. Now, there's also someone that was claiming to be the real Prince Harry that was also murdered. Now, he actually ended up, and it was murdered. It was gunshot wounds, and a struggle was there. Now, and this happened just now. So this is not it doesn't seem to me like it's unrelated. So it may be because he may want to try to come back into the royal family at that point, right? But this gets into this whole thing where these elite practices to remove care and love from them, so that's all because it's a weakness, right? This idea, as you move your children into other bloodline family homes to be raised as their children. And if you look at the face of this other Pritchard, who also had title, so he wasn't like completely out. He also was still in the, but off on another branch of the royal lineage that was making claim to be the real Prince Harry. Right? So why is this all back and forth turnover happening? Very hard to know, but there is something going on, right? There's a lot of change. The yellow vest in France, out in force, right? 10, I think it's 10 of 13 of the major cities, all having tens of thousands of people doing candlelight night vigils against Macron. So this is ongoing. This is spreading. Everything is spreading, and Trump is being looked at as a superhero in Iran, in Hong Kong, in Taiwan, in Sweden. Swedes for Sweden. There's a movement there of people that are there. Everybody is basically standing up for their country. They're all becoming nationalistic, not National Socialist, not Nazis, not National Socialists, but they're all standing up for their country. Doesn't make them bad, makes them good. All right. Well, let me see any other comments here. Let me go through here, see if there's anything else that's popped up. Okay. Well, some of the no need for any royal family. Well, I don't think that I don't have a particular problem with there being royal families. And I'll tell you why. It is a long established method of governance of our people, right? It was really our first form, chieftains, right? And usually that passes from father to son, right? So this is a method of teaching, right, that goes on ruling. So I think it's more of a natural phenomena. I really think so. Now I don't agree that where it becomes elitist, right, where they separate themselves, they are better than everyone else. Right? I think that's where the problem lies, is they then separate themselves. Most of the time when you have these chieftain, I would say chieftain, this is still royal family, right? They separate themselves out at some point and they make themselves better than everyone else. And what happens then is the people usually replace them. It's just that nowadays, the royal families and the power structure was replaced by a cabal, right? That used blackmail as a means of controlling everything. They used the basic aspects of greed and gluttony and lust and envy and all seven deadly sins as a way of corrupting people. and get him to walk down the dark side path. I mean, that's where the power lies. And, we get right into the Star Wars depiction of what's the difference between the left and the right, the good and the bad, the white and the black. We get into really analyzing that there is a duality that's in existence. So, but part of this doesn't mean that that there's an always going to be the evil is always going to be with us and completely equal. It's not about that. We don't have to have any evil on this planet whatsoever. It doesn't even have to exist the way we know it. Or it doesn't, right? But it doesn't mean there's not the duality. Not that it doesn't exist, right? It can always exist in concept and say, okay, yeah, we're just not doing that because it's stupid. Smart and stupid. How about that? That's a duality. So. So anyway, on the royal family side, I'm not against there being royal families, right? But where they've existed, there's been problems in that this bloodline family has taken hold. And listen, a lot of the royal families were screwed over. If they consider anyone that wasn't on the well, when you actually look at the royal families and who actually won and who became the ultimate cabal side, right? Who was behind that, right? And how they used a certain royal family, in England to basically get a power base, right? Made themselves royalty. Made themselves superior to the royalty through the banking. So we're ready to evolve past this insanity, right? That's what's happening. So I can't say that there shouldn't be royalty at all, but there can be completely legitimate forms of royal families, and it's often said that the best form of government is a benevolent monarchy. And probably the worst one might be a not benevolent monarchy. But again, back to the duality. Okay. Well, all right. Well, let's go ahead and shut this down now. I thank you all for joining. I am very appreciative of everyone that comes in and joins us. Please, let's spread the videos. Let's get everyone to subscribe, share this video, give thumbs ups. Okay, let me just check you guys out. How many thumbs ups do we got here? We got 26 likes. Come on, guys. What's going on? Come on, give some likes. Unless you don't like this, it's okay if you don't like it, but you can do a thumbs down. We won't trace it back to you. It's okay. But anyway, actually. So anyway, we're looking at how things are going to progress, over the next couple weeks, and we'll see a lot happening. And so come back tomorrow. We'll be back, and hopefully we'll hear from DANK. All right, we'll check you out. Good night.